जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह और आज मेरा बहुत बड़ा सौभाग्य है. आई एम ट्रूली ऑनर्ड, ब्लेस्ड एंड वेरी प्रिविलेज्ड to have a very, very special guest. Somebody who I have been admiring for a distance for a very, very long time virtually, whose videos I have seen all on YouTube. All. When I say all, I actually mean all. I've been following for a very, very long time. And recently, it's just destiny. It's all manifestation. If you dream of something, आपने सोचा कि भाई मैं ये करूंगा तो आप कर लेते हैं. आज मैं एक ऐसी शख्सियत के साथ बैठा हूं, एक ऐसे ऑफिसर के साथ बैठा हूं, एक ऐसे जनरल ऑफिसर्स के साथ बैठा हूं जिनको कोई जो कि तारुफ की मोहताज नहीं है. आप सब इन्हें जानते हैं. जी हाँ, Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar is the Vice Chancellor of the Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. Her grandparents were both medical practitioners. They were both doctors. And we will come to it, how she got the inspiration to become a doctor herself. Let me tell you, when she went to AFMC to study medicine, she topped in all three phases. And she was awarded the President of India's gold medal at that time. Not just that, well, we'll come to it, but parallelly, that's a different thing. That her husband, also incidentally a Lieutenant General Rajiv Kanitkar, also got a gold medal. He got the President's gold medal when he was at NDA. Well, she also got the Kalinga trophy for being the best student in academics and best all-rounder student completely. And she was commissioned in December 1978 into the Indian Army. She did her master's in, what do you call, ma'am? Pediatrician, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right. In 1990, she did a master's in pediatrics. My favorite subject in a way, though, I'm not a doctor, medical practitioner, but because we have a son who's 10 years old, तो हमको अक्सर pediatrician की जरूरत पड़ती है, so we कहीं पे चोट लगा देगा, कुछ कर देगा, something on the other. And ma'am has had an illustrious career. I can just go on about ma'am. She is very highly decorated. She's got 1 GOC&C commendation card, 5 Chief of Army Staff commendation cards. She has got the highest award for distinguished service in the army, the Param Vishis Seva Medal, which she got this year on 26 January 2022. She is an awardee of the Ati Vishis Seva Medal, the Vishis Seva Medal, and whatnot. Let's go on. Let's bring it on to ma'am. And I can go on, but let's hear further from ma'am. Ma'am, thank you and welcome for giving time, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and Jai Hind to all the viewers and to you, Major Shah. But more than that, I was wondering when you're going to stop with history and move on to today, the present, the moment. Let's enjoy this.
Right, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. One more thing I forgot to actually do in subsequently talk we will bring out. Ma'am is also on the advisory council of the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Board. I mean, she is an advisor there. That's very, very illustrious. Ma'am, first let's start from how you got the inspiration. We know you have 2 sisters and where you were born in Karnataka, but how you got the inspiration to become a doctor and especially more so ever an army doctor, join the army.
Yeah, I hate to let you down, but I wasn't sort of, one of those as a kid ki playing with the syringe ki main to doctor banungi. I was totally in for maths and physics and taking pure science. It was my school principal who decided ki she'll make a very good doctor and convinced my father. And उन जमाने में अगर डैड कहते हैं कि ये करो तो we still listen to them. So he said no, if he says so and your grandmother was a doctor, so I said ठीक है वो भी कर सकते हैं. But in hindsight, when I look at it, I mean that principal of mine must have really understood, because if I have to make a choice again today, it would be medicine. So that was it. And yes, then my grandmother did have a role model figure for me, but it was more by default than by design.
Wonderful, ma'am. Ma'am, we can go on talking about your army days and about the time when you were topping in academics and AFMC as well. But I would like to know more specifically, as a teacher, you have been a professor in fact, you've been the deputy commandant of your alma mater, AFMC. How was it going back as the deputy commandant of your alma mater and teaching so many people and affecting so many people, in fact?
I think that was sort of really a moment that I cherish most in my entire career, because going back firstly to the college where I had fought with my dad to join the armed forces, having had no background, but going that there back with wisdom now. I mean, till then I had just taken from the college. I had got so much. If I am today such, whatever, the all round and blah blah blah, it's all been because the college gave me a lot. And this going back was my moment to give back. And I remember even saying that I don't give up, I just give back. So that was one of the most beautiful moments. And it continues to be cherished because even till date, even this morning, I still get messages from students who were cadets then, are now already officers. Someone posted in Tangse, someone doing some innovation, and they still share all their, great moments. So it's living every day to the fullest.
Ma'am, amazing, ma'am. And because you talk so fondly of your students, of everyone you have taught, and you mentioned you have taught of every single student of yours. Of a student of yours is a very dear friend of mine, ma'am. Colonel Harmeet Singh Arora, posted research and referral. He did a surgery recently on a 15-year-old boy, and you understand the
Yeah.
technicalities. हम तो इतना नहीं, we are as laymen हम तो ये जानते हैं कि भाई कुछ उन्होंने ऑपरेशन करा, मतलब बिना सर्जरी के he did something और चमत्कार कर दिया. हम तो as normal laymen we know this much. जो पहली मर्तबा कभी सरकारी अस्पताल में हुआ है,
Yeah.
पहले कॉर्पोरेट्स में हुआ है, मैम. When you hear such stories, मैम, ऐसे और भी कहानियां होंगी, about your students. I'm sure you would be feeling proud and such things, but would like to know straight from the horse's mouth, ma'am, how do you actually feel when you hear similar success stories of a lot of people, ma'am?
I mean, it's like, as if you suddenly had hundreds of kids. As a parent figure, when your child does well, I mean, you have a small son, as he grows up, you suddenly start equating your pleasures more with his progress than your own. And parents also often, it's not this thing, but yes, certain things maybe you wanted to do, you could not do, and you have facilitated others to do it. So their victory now soon becomes your victory, and your happiness keeps multiplying. So I'm extremely proud. Like you just spoke of Harmeet, he sent me all the pictures, all the cuttings, and it was such a proud moment because I still remember the day he went for cardiology. And I said, just don't, matlab dil se karo cardiology. Put your heart and soul into it. So, and that he's done something so amazing, keeping the constraints. I think that is what is important. People feel that, yes, no, I have restrictions, I'll be moving. How much can I do? I'm wearing a uniform. A lot of people do have inhibitions, but there's so much you can do, and you do much more when you know your time is limited. If you're there forever, your time just gets on and goes on and on. But you know that, okay, you have 3 years and you have to do this. I think you achieve so much more. And I'm so proud of him and so many like them. But I don't know if he shared with you, बहुत डांट लगाती थी इनको मैं. And
Ma'am.
and I mean, if this thing, I would tell them. I'd be pretty strict with them, and I'd say, "अभी सुन लो, नहीं तो बाद में नानी नहीं याद आएगी, मैम याद आएगी."
Good for that. I love your sense of humor, ma'am. It's amazing. Too bad. Ma'am, tell me, after you retired from the army, I mean, and a few months later, you were handpicked to become the Vice Chancellor of the Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. And being a Vice Chancellor is a very, very difficult job, and it is a very, very. So, how was the transition from Forge? Of course, you were always into academics as well. You were a professor in the army, in the AFMC, and the other. How was the transition now to become a Vice Chancellor of such a big university, man?
Yeah. I think firstly, there was not even few months, there were not even few hours. I retired 31st October afternoon, flew down from Delhi to Pune, early morning 5 a.m., drove down to Nasik, and by 10:30 had off 1st of November, I'd taken charge as Vice Chancellor.
Oh,
So,
wow, already.
and this was because I mean, the governor had been really kind to wait for a few months till I actually retired because my appointment had been made earlier when the vacancy had come up. And but the question of again at that point of time I was very clear that I am not making a second career for any sort of finance. I mean, the outlook was not, am I going to earn more? Am I going to be able to do great work? That thing which had started as a dean of wanting to give back, I think that had become very strong. And therefore, when this opportunity came by, I felt this was the chance. And this is the first time I got to really amalgamate what I strongly felt about. Today, medical education, research, and public health, the three are not aligned. And having served, or rather, since I'm on the Prime Minister's TEAC, this was something I felt we all need to work towards. And here I was getting an opportunity because Maharashtra University of Health Sciences is one of the largest state universities for health sciences, with more than 450 colleges of all the faculties. So that's modern medicine, Ayush, that is Ayurveda, Unani, yoga, homeopathy. There's physiotherapy, occupational therapy, nursing, dental, hearing and speech. So the spectrum is huge. And somewhere I felt that the connect of medical education, the research that is happening in our laboratories or institutions, and it's not translating soon enough into better public health. And our country is making rapid strides. Something, Major Shah, our country is today one of the ones with the youngest population. 60% of our population is below 35 years. And this is a huge aspiring youth. And amongst all the revolution and atmanirbharta and digital and what have you, the country is marching ahead. I think the COVID showed us what is required and what is lacking. I mean, both things. It showed us the challenge, but it also showed us, when we came together, how we came out winners, and we showed the world. I mean, everyone had predicted doomsday for India. Look at us. We've come out shining. I mean, there's been a top to bottom, everyone worked together. So I felt health was one aspect, and it has to start with education. The young minds have to be stimulated. And that was something I thought I had a core competence. And if I just sit back and enjoy now and have my bucket list, maybe I can have it all. Bucket list and my work. I'm enjoying it.
Very well said by you, ma'am. Ma'am, you mentioned about the country marching ahead. Yes, I totally agree with you. We are on the verge of becoming a Vishwa Guru. We are becoming a superpower slowly gradually. And when we talk about marching ahead, ma'am, on 26th January this year, we saw a very smart, dashing, striking lady officer march at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, receiving a Param Vishesh Seva medal from the President of India. Yes, ma'am. You itself, you only. So tell me one thing: how was it donning the uniform once again after retiring from the army? Because for, as they say, for ceremonials we can wear uniform. And so, how was the feeling of getting back to the olive green and then marching and so smartly? कोई कहेगा नहीं कि फौज छोड़े हुए कुछ टाइम हो गया. कोई कहेगा नहीं इस बात के बारे में.
It was a beautiful moment, but honestly, before that, I was a little nervous because I'd put away all those uniforms, and I said, "Moti to nahi ho gayi? Am I going to fit into my shirt and be able to march up smartly like I did for the AVSM?" So it was like I've talked in a number of things that I'm my own challenge. So I challenged myself. So I think I had to live up to my own expectations, but it was a beautiful moment because one is already rewarded when you have had your personal satisfaction for the work you've done, but when publicly the nation also rewards you, you feel so warm. And that was a beautiful moment. But I get to share with you what was even more touching was coming back the day I arrived at back from the award ceremony. My university staff, almost 600, 700 people, had, I believe, watched it live in the auditorium. And the entire universe, I mean, this was an organization where there were some wonderful people, but it lacked the family cohesiveness which I was used to in the army. And I tried over the few months after taking over to bring in a family spirit. And I realized I had reached their hearts when I came back, and there were buglers and drums and rangoli. I mean, the whole university had been turned into one festive place. And that warmed my heart so much.
Wow, man. Wow, wow. That is beautiful, man. I did my Vios course from Devlali, and I have worked in Nasik for some time. I worked with the Mahindras. So there's this Mahindra Management Development Center. So
Yes.
I was there so I'm familiar with Nasik. I'm familiar with your university. In fact, we used to always go past it and we used to always be in awe. And I wish वो अब होता तो I would have कि भाई यहाँ पे जनरल साहब हैं हमारे, who's the vice chancellor, तो मैं बड़े हक से आके आपसे मिलता, and I would have felt, of course, we
No,
are very, very proud.
you must come because I mean, you asked me how the transition was. It wasn't much different. Yes, I'm not wearing a uniform every morning and I have to get up and decide, oh, this is something I'd never done all my life. School में uniform था, AFMC में uniform था, फौज में 40 साल uniform था. So now I have to get up in the morning and say, okay, I need to wear clothes, some different clothes. So, but having said that, like you correctly brought out, even while I was in uniform, I always remained in touch with professionalism. I was collaborating and doing research, whether it was with AIMS or with other top institutions, attending all the conferences, national, international. So my academic connect was very close with whether it's the Indian Academy of Pediatrics or the Indian Society of Pediatric Nephrology, where I've served as the president of the society. So that connect was very strong. So what did I felt I had, at that time I used to take some of the best of the armed forces into whichever place I served with. And now I feel I have an opportunity to do a reverse, to bring the best of our discipline, our turnout, our camaraderie, the family spirit, working on a mission mode, all those aspects I can bring into. And it's amazing how the people who have all been civilians, but the way they've warmed up. So, in fact, in lighter vein, some friend was saying that MUHS can now be called a military university of health sciences.
Good one, ma'am. Good one. Good one. Good. That's a real good one. मैम आई हैव सीन फौजीज वो किसी भी फील्ड में जाए ना मैम, वो बहुत अच्छा करते हैं वो. आई मीन लाइक आई एम नॉट बीइंग बायस्ड बट आई हैव एक्चुअली सीन इट. आई हैव सीन स्पेशली academics. Ma'am, my alma mater, Lawrence School, Lovedale, one headmaster came who was from the army, from the education corps, Colonel Prasad. He headed the school in a very good way. Man, we've had Fauji, we had Lieutenant General Samiuddin Shah as the Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University. तो कहते कि भाई AMU cantonment बन गया है, इतना साफ सुथरा हो गया है. So wherever I've seen Fauji, wherever I've seen Fauji, I've seen them really do really well. And
Yeah.
the roads. इससे मेरे को एक बात और खास बात याद आई. मैंने अपनी ग्रेजुएशन करी है पूना से, फ्रॉम फर्ग्यूसन कॉलेज. And there's a very famous road over there called Kanitkar Road. So I'm a little
Yes.
curious. Is it named after General Rajiv Kanitkar's family or कुछ link है
Yes.
उसे? Yes, there you go.
There is Rajiv's grandfather was S.R. Kanitkar. He established the Progressive Education Society and was a leading educationist. He'd been a professor in Ferguson College, and then
Wow.
yeah, absolutely, and that's my college as well. And well,
High five, high five, high five, man.
uh, so after that, he sort of set out to, create a progressive education society and the modern high school. And I believe, I've heard stories where he said that we need to be progressive, we need to be modern, and that is why he called the school that. And yet we need to be grounded and have our roots. And I feel so happy that that's the same philosophy that I feel subscribe to very, very strongly. And I believe in the British days, he was given a most at Jangli Maharaj Road area of Pune. There was some desolate, they had these caves and a really rocky area, which they thought nothing could be done. And that was given by the British. If you want to, you can have a school there. And today that's run by Dr. Ekbote and, the foundation. And they're running hundreds of schools all over the state. And he turned that into a amazing, school. And I believe he had just 7 people who came with him. So it's like these are stories which you grow up with, so you get your roots very strongly. When I came here to MUHS, and this is again, you asked me how, armed forces, you really, what makes us different? I think we have a tremendous sense of self discipline. Whether it's getting up in the morning, whether it's even if you've retired, you have to go for your walk, you have to do your, everything has to be in time. If it's 10, I mean it's 10 sharp, I must reach my office. These are habits, they become part of your life. And this is how those imbibe spirit. We also learn how to take care of nature. Why today the cantonments are the lungs of every city? Because the trees, the greenery, the cleanliness, it becomes part of our system. We get used to it. So we've done the same along with my team here. We started with it was a jungle, and we had a old stone quarry. And today we are so proud of it that it's turned into a natural biodiversity area. We've turned it into a lake with a sensory garden around it. And it was just 6 months, and the team at MUHS, which worked, it was not outsourced. Everyone put in hard work. So that is what I think bringing the army to the university has done.
And of course, ma'am, army, and you have, you're highly qualified, and you have, आपने एम्स की बात की थी, your association with AIMS, you have done a fellowship at Singapore, you have gone to London to do courses. So tell us about your stint when you used to go abroad for your up into adding further value to yourself as a doctor, man.
Yeah, so these were honestly, they were very self-directed learnings. Uh, they were not part of like the army didn't, offer it to me on a platter. But this is what I tell: where there's a will, there's a way. So most of it I've done on my own leave, furlough leave, half pay, with permission, of course, and applying for and getting selected for fellowships. And both were with a very specific purpose. Like, I'd finished my nephrology training at the All India Institute, and we were not having a home based dialysis program for children still running in the country. And that was something I felt we needed to, and the armed forces has the capability of really looking after its children holistically. So I went there for training very specifically in that, sat with the nurses, trained myself, and started the whole process in the armed forces. And, at that point, there was a lot of resistance that, is there such a need? But now we've realized how important it is. We have 6 pediatric nephrologists serving in the armed forces, and so many across the country. And yet, there's so few, because we still need so many more. So that was what I went for Singapore for. And having come back from there, my mentor had been Dr. R.N. Srivastav from All India Institute. And he gave me a paper. I mean, that's what one learned from teachers: is you don't feed, you teach them how to catch a fish. So he gave me a paper talking of bladder dysfunctions. And I remember reading it, and he says, see what you can do about it. And I realized there was no one really working specifically in this area in pediatric nephrology in the country. So then, having got selected for the Commonwealth, this thing from Royal College of Pediatrics, uh, sought permission from the army to take leave, to take furlough, and go to London, where I worked under 2 things: renovascular hypertension and bladder dysfunctions. And that added a lot of value, because then I came back and devised a way of doing it without the fancy experimental machines and things. Now it's become more easily, otherwise urodynamics was not available. So we found ways and means of using other methods of simpler diagnosis to come to, without the correlating those. And that became an algorithm which we published, and came in textbooks of pediatric nephrology. So it is about learning is continuous. you keep adding to your armament. You say, okay, this is how I can help. I don't know. Okay, I go back to the table, I go back and learn. And I use that immediately. If it's translated, there's a satisfaction. And you need to innovate and find solutions for problems which are relevant to our country. I mean, you can't sit in an ivory tower and have a very high end idea where 70% are in rural. And if we give produce algorithms and these things which have very high end investigations, probably we cannot give those guidelines. So you need to find solutions for that, and which I use in a number of this thing, that when we find solutions, they have to be AFAS: affordable, feasible, acceptable, sustainable. And if I can find those solutions and implement them, and we are now going ahead with that same gusto at MUHS, where we feel that the future is going to be digital health. So I'm in talks with IIT Mumbai. We're collaborating. We're trying to see how doctors and engineers can work together to bring about this change, to take digital health right down to the grassroots levels.
Very true, ma'am. Ma'am, I remember it's been about, I think, 2 years plus or so, reading the papers, all shutterbacks were ablaze when you became a lieutenant general, and when General Rajiv Kanitkar and, of course, the commandant, when they picked you and you had said, thank you, sir. And that was like big news at that
I
time.
even saluted. I even saluted him.
You even saluted, ma'am. Of course, of course, of course. So it must be a real moment of pride. So tell us a
Yeah.
bit about that moment, ma'am. We would like to hear it from you.
That was very, very special for two reasons. Firstly, I mean, we had what you, like you correctly pointed out. I don't know of too many couples who came out from two premier institutions in Pune with the President's Gold Medal. There was NDA and there was AFMC, and we both came out. We were got married, and we thought, it's a nice fairy tale, but. It was a tough journey because we postings were not easy to come by together. He was a hardcore cavalryman. I was a doctor, so that two could not really be, meeting ends. So though we looked forward to donning the uniform and going on that journey hand in hand, it didn't really work out. So it had been a tough journey where we had been each other's support, not having had too much of support otherwise in the form of your ancestors who were there in the forces, having used to that. So we had to find our own solutions. There were difficult times. 26 years is not easy to live alone, bring up your children, look after your profession, and he'd been a strong support for that. And a number of times I've said this, that every time I wanted to give up, he says, no, 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 we have to grow together without growing apart. So, and there was that moment when he said, we've done it. When he pipped me and he said, because we were the first couple to have become both lieutenant generals, and both had grown together without growing apart. I mean, he had grown in his team. He retired as the quartermaster general.
Pardon,
I had,
yes, ma'am.
yes, I went on to become a lieutenant general. So I think it was something which was uh, really an inner joy of having got there.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm just curious to know, when did you first meet? Though I know it sounds very cliche, sounds like some Simi Gerewal show, when she's asking, where did you first meet and what did you say to her, all that. So I'll not go on that. But ma'am, I'm just curious, why you posted together? Did he come to you as a
No, no,
patient?
no. I was in 12th standard in Ferguson College, and our man was a handsome young guy out of NDA, and
Oh,
he managed to sweep a teenager off her feet.
oh, wow, wow. That
I
is
landed up joining
great.
AFMC. That was another motive. I was fascinated by the college and the infrastructure that I got to see when my roommate, who'd been an Air Force officer's daughter, she took me to see, and I was so fascinated. This is where I want to, learn. It's not just becoming a doctor, but I want to enjoy becoming a doctor. Life is not something to be, taken so seriously. So I was very clear about it. And then I met him. So that desire of following the same path and joining was very strong. So I think that's how I landed up joining AFMC.
Wow, man, this is superb. I was imagining perhaps कभी posted होंगे कहीं पे field area में कहीं पे, and
Oh,
and
no,
sir
no.
आए होंगे आपके पास as a patient, and But this is what you've told. Wow, this is like really, really heartening to know that, ma'am. Really heartening to know that. Ma'am, it is मजा आ गया आपसे वाकई में बात करके, ma'am. It is so nice. And of course, for our viewers, ma'am has got two wonderful children. One, the daughter, her daughter is in US, doing really well. Son Nikhil is in Gurgaon, and they are, ma'am. बहुत ही खुशी हुई आपसे बात करके वाकई में मैम इट वाज लाइक रियली एन
अभी एक
ऑनर
ग्रैंडसन भी है
of course you have just been
Yeah,
just begun today, if I'm not
मतलब
mistaken.
that is
Must be
the
like,
true
yes,
interest, the
yes,
true.
ma'am, zabardast, ma'am. It's so cool. It is really cool. And my parents always see they always enjoy their time with my son because as grandparents there are no responsibilities. कि भाई you just enjoy लाड प्यार
बिल्कुल
करो बच्चे को बस and
बिल्कुल जब रोने लगे
बिगड़ने दो
भी ये
उसके
करो
बाद
hand over to the parents. Absolutely.
Ma'am, there are so many, you'll be happy to know, ma'am, in the year 2008, I was in Nagaland that time, with the Assam Rifles. I was chosen to come to Delhi to lead the Assam Rifles marching contingent. My RT officer tha, but on deputation to Assam Rifles. So that time, my wife was doing her PhD, and she had asked me that, why is it that only a gentleman officer leads the parade? Why? I've never seen a lady officer leading the parade. So I was
Now you
always
have one.
into, man. So I was always
Hmm.
into emceeing and commentary, and so that year, 15th January 2008, because Assam Rifles are paramilitary, we do not march on the Army Day. So I was into
Yeah.
the commentary from the Army Parade ground. And the same evening, General Deepak Kapoor was the chief at that time. He had handpicked me to come over to the Army House and do the commentary. तो एक पेड़ के ऊपर एक मचान, एक stage लगाया गया, where the president, the vice president, the prime minister, the the defense minister, the chief, the top brass was there basically. तो मैंने पेड़ के ऊपर से announce किया that I am here to lead the parade. But why is it that we never had a lady officer leading the parade? मैंने कहा इससे बेहतर मौका कभी नहीं मिलेगा, मार दो चौका. And I announced
हाँ
from the treetop.
हाँ
Anyway, and I just sowed a seed. I'll not take the credit or anything, but I just said, मैम 2019 में पहली मर्तबा we had
yes
Major Khushbu Kanwar leading the Assam Rifles marching contingent. So whenever we
absolutely
see lady officers like her, like you, I mean, you are an inspiration for so many ladies to actually join the army. अब तो NDA में भी permanent commission हो गया है.
yes
मैम मेरा
that's
दाखिला
I think, that's been a very good opportunity because I mean if they have to serve when you train together you really work together shoulder to shoulder. I think AMC has shown that because we are there from college, uh, the gender aspect loses its importance. You don't really you just look at a person as a colleague. So I think that is important, and that aspect, the more it comes in, there will be a better camaraderie, a better work environment, and things will change for the better.
absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely, ma'am. And before we let you go, ma'am, any last message you would like to give to our viewers?
Oh,
Who?
I first have a question for you. Yeah, you've
Oh
been
yes, yes,
questioning
sure,
me. Tell me how you. I mean, me becoming VC was okay, but how have you taken to acting?
ma'am. Actually, दरअसल हुआ ये था that I had tried after Ferguson College. जब मैं पूना में था. So like the way both you and your husband alma maters are in Pune, both of you are gold medalists from there and such things. No? So जब मैं पूना खास इसलिए गया था कॉलेज करने के लिए because I had not got through NDA. I had failed my NDA entrance test. अब वो जिद पकड़ ली थी भाई एनडीए में बस जाना तो फौज में भी था एंड स्कूल से ही आई वाज इनटू वन एक्ट
With love
plays
doing
debates exhibition and such things. So my father is an alumni of NDA and my father's younger brother is an alumni of Film and Television Institute of India Pune. तो
both
मैं
in Pune.
कहा both are in Pune incidentally, yes ma'am.
हाँ
मैं दोनों की जिंदगी मैं यहाँ पे देख लूंगा. So but that is
हाँ
how I went to Pune and in fact, तो वहां से and I would see all our classmates, all the class girls used to look at the on Sundays ना muftis में white shirt and tie और पहन के आते थे NDA cadet with close cropped hair and used to be so envious of them. All and the entire Pune used to come outside Ferguson College to hang out. Why? To see the
Now you
Ferguson
know how
College.
I got carried away. I was part of that whole Pune watching those smart guys on Ferguson College Road.
So the front circle of Ferguson College and it's ma'am क्या memories है क्या block है हमारा क्या building है Ferguson College की और राइट साइड पे टेनिस कोर्ट्स थे. आई डोंट नो आपके टाइम पे थे कि नहीं थे. वो राइट साइड पे टेनिस कोर्ट्स थे where I used to play tennis in the evening.
Yes. Yes.
So it is
Absolutely.
like amazing, man. So that is how I came to Pune. And फिर मेरा after graduation तो मैंने film institute के साथ बहुत सी फिल्में करी, short films. On some Sundays I would go to NDA to see the cadets and I used to be really in awe of them. So after my graduation, I didn't get through the National School of Drama twice. Ma'am, Pankaj
Okay.
Tripathi, yeah, the famous actor
Yeah.
Pankaj Tripathi. So
Yeah.
Pankaj and I have been very old friends and very dear friends. We still are in touch. So Pankaj and I tried together in the year 2001. Pankaj got through, I didn't get through. So Pankaj said, कोई बात नहीं अली भाई, आप अगले साल फिर ट्राई करेगा. आप हमारे जूनियर हो गए, हम तुम्हें खूब रैगिंग करेंगे. I didn't get through the second time also. Maybe I got saved by the ragging of Pankaj and the entire batch. फिर मैंने सोचा, फिर मैम, they were the wise gentlemen, Deputy GOC 54 Div from 9 Para SF, Brigadier Sashi Khanna. He told me, बेटा तुमको एक्टिंग भी करनी थी और फौज में भी आना था. You can't do both. You can't put your legs in two boats. The best way to do something is to do one thing at a time. तो तुम फौज में जाओ, शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन करो 5 years, और जब तुम फौज से निकल के आओगे कोई होगा ही नहीं फौजी पूरी इंडस्ट्री में. And that made sense to me. So the picture he projected to me was like films like Uri or Sher Shah. You would be the first and obvious choice to be cast. तो मेरे को ये बात बहुत समझ में आई. I said yes. And ma'am, of course, then father was in the army as well. तो मैं फौज में आ गया शॉर्ट सर्विस करने के लिए. Like the way your husband picked you and my father picked me, and when I became a lieutenant sir.
Yes.
And so उसके बाद फिर 5 साल करे मैंने. And then I went to Bombay, acted in a few films like Haider, Bajrangi Bhaijaan, and I've worked with the best of guys, best of filmmakers, and the best of theatre personalities. So that way, if you see, तो ये थी मेरी journey, ma'am. So ये, I hope I have answered your question. So
yes. No, and why I asked you was because you said what was your message in the end. See, this is what was I mean you answered it yourself, and I don't need to tell that you can't figure out your destination. All if you have a passion, take up the challenges, opportunities, enjoy what you're doing, and you'll automatically keep moving towards your destination, right? So, and if you make you, and everything adds to your value. Your having had served in the army, being, makes you different, makes you exclusive. So, therefore, if you're enjoying the today and have this thing that, yes, I must do something more that makes me happy, I think that is the bottom line, that you're giving back, you're working, you're enjoying what you're doing. Uh, the rest will happen. The awards will come, the rewards will come. But before anything else comes, your inner pleasure and happiness comes, and that's what shows, I think, right?
absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely, ma'am. मैम यू रियली मेड माई डे. और मेरे को बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि वाकई में मेरे को ये रिवाइंड करके दोबारा ये कन्वर्सेशन देखनी पड़ेगी कि सच में or was I dreaming? Really, ma'am. Thank you very much for. Ma'am, I have to give you this compliment, and I might embarrass you online by telling you you're one of the most elegant and the most gracious ladies I've ever seen, by the way.
Thank you so much. Feel so honored. Bye bye. Have a
Bye,
good
ma'am.
day.
Thank you
And
very much,
Jai
ma'am.
Hind to all the people who've been listening on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Jai Hind, ma'am.
Jai Hind.